Hello everyone, and welcome back to the channel. JC here with another video on Action Taimanin. Today we're gonna check this week's challenge arena. But before we start, don't forget to leave a like, share, and subscribe if you need the content. So this week's challenge arena is fairly simple for the most part. One wave, a ton of bosses. That's nice, that's interesting. But the most notable aspect of this one is that they are showing us that we can do builds with mismatching skills. As you can see, we're gonna use only blue builds this week. But one notable aspect is that one of our skills is gonna be green, red, and another red. So we're not using the effects of those, which is interesting to say the least. It is possible to make builds that use a mismatching skill, especially if you have a weapon that boosts that, or the skill itself is busted enough. For example, Asteroid's skill is just amazing. The green one is just great. You can use it on every single build because of the utility it provides. But not every character is going to be able to do this, and some become very situational. So yeah, let's analyze what this build is going to do and what we're missing. So we don't have a bunch of our attacks because of the lack of green, because the first two are going to give extra attacks and the last one is going to give us more damage. But with aerial, we're going to, it says, regardless of the application of the supporter set effect, performs an additional attack all the times when using shadowless kick. So thanks to the fact that we have this weapon, we are going to do the additional attacks. That's good. And then increase damage dealt by combo of shadowless kick, and increases fortitude when using shadowless kick. So thanks to the weapon, we have the extra hits, and the extra hits are going to be beneficial because we have Draconic Suit, which depending on your combo, you're going to get more damage. So that's the combo there. But if we didn't have this weapon, it wouldn't be a good idea, even with Draconic Suit. So keep that in mind. Not always we can do this kind of wacky builds. Then we have Takeover, which disarms the enemies, Hurricane Kick, which deals a ton of damage, and Spin Kick, which is going to give us the ability to reposition and heal ourselves. We have Uraru and Felicia for damage and damage reduction with the extra passive. So what do you want to do? With this one, you start by getting near to the enemy with the Spin Kick. It has the lowest cooldown. Then, immediately after, you want to avoid the enemy's attack and do Takeover. Then, the enemies are going to gather near you, but they're not going to attack you. So you use Hurricane Kick to accelerate that process and gather all the enemies. And lastly, you use Shadowless Kick. And then, Takeover is going to be on cooldown. So we use Spin Kick again, Takeover, Hurricane Kick. If you can use Spin Kick again, do so. If not, Shadowless Kick, and then Spin Kick. And you just spam your skills as much as possible. That's about it. It's all about letting the enemies be inflicted with, making the enemies be inflicted with the disarm. Yeah, for a second I just blanked. Well, the next one, Ingrid. Ingrid benefits from using Evil Bloom. Not quite. It benefits from using a skill because of this weapon. The more skills we have, the better. But Evil Bloom is not that great without its colors. So, during normal attacks, performs consecutive attack by stabbing enemies twice. Reduce damage taken. That hurts. 3 additional attacks and super armor. That hurts. And the critical damage increase. Yeah, like, we are forced to use this one, and we can. There's a moment, and you're gonna see it because I'm gonna play with this one, but it is a little bit rough. So we get damage increase and cooldown with this weapon. We have damage increase and HP recovery, damage increase, HP increase, damage increase, well, skill damage increase, damage reduction, HP increase, and an active that deals damage. Unfortunately, we don't have like the best effects on the skills. it's more like we just have raw damage and the ability to spam skills. And that's what we want to do because of this weapon. So what are you going to do? You start with piercing the dragon because it has the lowest cooldown and you're going to get near the enemy. Then you use Hellblaze. Then you reposition and use Dark Flame. And lastly, when all the enemies have the super armor down, you use Evil Bloom next to the most amount of enemies so that you deal more damage. And then you repeat. That's basically it. If you use Evil Bloom when the enemies have super armor, you're gonna have troubles because they're gonna interrupt you and they're gonna hit you. Another notable aspect that you have to be wary of is the stone enemy. There is a stone enemy that deals 3 AoE attacks in succession, in quick succession, that launch you into the air. So that can be pretty bad for someone like Ingrid. Saika, I mean, she has the good super armor and the takeover, which are the enemies. But Ingrid struggles with this. In fact, I didn't manage to beat this in one go. I lost the first time because I just disregarded that skill. But you have to be wary of that. And if you do, and if you focus on the rock, you won't have troubles. Then we have over here Tokiko. Tokiko is probably the strongest of the group. Let's see. Yeah, you can see by the score. So, what does she offer? Or well, what she doesn't offer. Normally, this skill, if you use it on red, it would target a single enemy. All of the kunais would target a single enemy, and then the projectiles would do a kind of a fan behind the enemy. But we don't have that property. So what is this offering? A big AoE attack and a skill activation. Because we have a follow-up attack. It is kind of useful as it is, but it's very situational. Keep that in mind. It's not that great. It's when you have big waves of enemies, but in this case that's not that good. So anyways, let's check. What else do we have? Oh, sorry, my controller. There. We have the follow-up attack. As I mentioned, this is going to be very, very important because after each activation, skill activation, you want to use Fuma Martial Art Autumn Wind. If you don't use this one, you're missing out on damage. Basically, that's about it. And more importantly, you're giving yourself a small break between skills to wait for, to just reduce the cooldown of your skill so that you can transition perfectly into each skill. Then we have Taimanin Blast. Taimanin Blast is going to reduce the target speed, which gives you a ton of control. It auto-targets the enemy, which is very useful. And it is very simple to use. You just double dash and then dash once more to use Autumn Wind. And then we have a Squall. Squall is devastating. It is so strong. And again, after that you use Autumn Wind. It's Fan, Autumn Wind, Blast, Autumn Wind, Squall, Autumn Wind. That's it. Honestly, it's very, very simple. And well, the weapon doesn't even matter that much. Each stack increases skill damage. So technically, you want to use Fuma Martial Arts and Taimanin Arts in succession to get the most damage out of this. Fuma Autumn, Fuma Martial Art, Taimanin Art. So yeah, basically, the fact that we put the Autumn Wind in between is going to help us out with more damage. So yeah, let's do Ingrid, which is the difficult one, quote unquote. But it is fairly simple as long as we know what we're doing. So as I mentioned, we start by dashing. And then Dark Flame. No. Then we use Evil Heart Blast. But the enemies are not on the right spot. I'll use the active. I'll just... yeah. Like that. That's more like it. Oops. I reposition and I use Evil Bloom. Nice. Great. As you can see, we receive a ton of damage. That's why this one is difficult, because As usual, Ingrid doesn't have HP recovery. Or at least enough HP recovery. There, nice. Nice, nice, nice. Another thing that you can do, particularly with this character, is to reposition in a way that the enemies are going to follow you through the trajectory of Dark Flame. Yeah. Really, I missed that. Okay, use the ultimate and that's it. In most runs, you see this was a pretty bad run. I barely missed the mark. In most runs, you do not use the ultimate. We don't have enough particle charge to reach that. It is possible, as you saw, but if you reach it, you'll kind of miss the mark. So just focus on abusing your skills, doing the right combos, and spamming those actives, those supporter actives. You want to use the supporter twice in order to get a good score. So, well, anyways, that's about it for today. I hope you find this useful, and I'll be seeing you next time. Bye!